When you see bright and eye-catching thumbnails like these, you definitely feel like clicking on them to find out what the video is about. They truly grab your attention. And if you create videos yourself, for example about Counter-Strike, you'll probably wondered how to design thumbnails like that to attract more viewers to your content. In this video I want to show you how to create thumbnails similar to this one. I decided to recreate this thumbnail and share the whole process with you. I think it's going to be fun and you'll definitely learn something useful from it. Let's start by creating a new project in Photoshop with the settings you can see on the screen. I've also gathered all the necessary materials from this thumbnail in advance. That includes several screenshots from the game itself, a few screenshots from some random match, simply because I haven't played in a while and I don't have a demo file to extract shots like these brutal masked guys from. It's always better to capture screenshots directly in the game instead of doing what I did, which was taking them from a YouTube video. The quality of your source files will be much better if you capture them in game, you know. But for this example, I think it's good enough. I also found the exact same photo of the streamer that was used in the original thumbnail, and I prepared some additional elements like a light flare and the matrix style effect. Of course, I also have the original thumbnail that I'll be recreating. It's really beautiful. Don't forget about the VIP user icon and the online counter icon to recreate a similar chat. Let's start with building the chat. First, create a rectangle where we'll place the online icon and the viewer count text. I choose the Inter font because it looks similar and it's free. Add a small stroke to the rectangle as well. Try to align everything to the center, then create another rectangle where the chat itself will be placed. Add the VIP icon and then I'll simply rewrite the text from the original thumbnail. If you're making a similar thumbnail, you'll either need to come up with your own chat messages. Take them from a real chat or even ask ChatGPT for suggestions. It might give you some ideas. After that, I'll make the chat look more dynamic by changing the colors of the nicknames. Next, while holding shift, I'll select the first and the last layer, then merge all these layers into one. After that, holding Ctrl, I'll position the chat roughly the same way as in the original thumbnail. Now we'll create the webcam frame using the rectangle tool. For the text I use the Montserrat font. It's similar to the one used in the original thumbnail and it's also free. I'm trying to replicate the same text style. It's actually very simple, just a stroke and a shadow. Then I added the streamer's photo and clip it to the rectangle using the Alt key. In the original thumbnail, the streamer slightly overlaps the rectangle frame, so I duplicate the photo and separate him from the background. I do this using a basic selection and refine it with the lasso tool. Then holding Ctrl, I click on the rectangle right in this area and create a mask on the separated streamer layer. Now we need to create a new empty layer above the background and add a subtle green glow. You can also apply a small color correction to the background image to make it look better. Next, I'll try to recreate a similar matrix effect. My image is slightly different, but I don't think that's a big deal. Don't forget to change the blending mode for the matrix effect layer. You should also color correct the streamer image so he stands out more and looks higher quality. Color correction usually depends on the specific image, so you have to adjust it by eye. Add some subtle highlights on the streamer as well. For that, just create a new layer, clip it to the streamer layer. You can also add a stronger rim light around the edges using a flatten brush and then change the blending mode. The live icon is pretty simple to make. Use the rectangle tool again, add the text live and create a small ellipse. Add a slight shadow to the badge. Just like with the chat, merge all those layers into one and tilt it slightly. Now let's move on the background. It's not just the background, it's just as important as the rest of the thumbnail. First I'll add the main background image and darken the lower part a bit. Then I'll cut out the hands holding the weapon using a regular selection and refine it with the lasso tool. After that, I'll add smoke from another screenshot. Now we need to add these characters and create a similar effect. That's why we prepared those screenshots. As I mentioned earlier, it's better to capture them from a demo file or high quality footage, ideally from a demo. Just cut out the characters and place them nicely in the composition. Next, we'll try to recreate the effect as if the player is using cheats. We'll create that frame using the rectangle tool. Make one rectangle, then duplicate it so the outline and the turquoise glow are on separate layers. I recommend using a layer mask and erase parts with a brush on the mask, so you can always bring them back if you remove too much. Instead of rebuilding everything, I'll just select those two layers and duplicate them with Ctrl+J, then place them behind the other two character models. Now we'll add nicknames. I'll just type some random names. The text is simple, yellow color with a red stroke. Then create a gradient layer clipped to the character. The colors are roughly red and yellow. Try different blending modes to see what looks best. Because the character models aren't very high quality, it's harder to achieve exactly the same effect as in the original. But at least you now understand how it's done. Overall, it looks similar. I'll tweak this effect a bit more later. Also, duplicate the turquoise rectangle again and clip it to the character so the effect appears on top of the model as well. I think it might look interesting to add a subtle effect as if those rectangles are slightly inside the smoke. I'm not 100% sure it looks better, but I found it interesting. I'll also place a light flare at the top of the image and add a slight highlight on the chat and maybe to the webcam, although it might actually look better on the text itself. Color correction for the background is also necessary. Make it more attractive, brighter, lighter, more colorful and more contrasty. Do the same for the hands and the weapon, and apply color correction to the smoke layer as well. Add a subtle outline using inner shadow. And I think it's worth adding even more vibrance using hue saturation. It might also help to apply a bit more color correction to the streamer, so he stands out even more. Then I duplicate the streamer layer, apply pixel blur to it and use a mask so the blur remains only on the face. After that I'll keep adjusting the color gradient to make the image closer to the original. Selecting the top layer, I press Ctrl+Shift+Alt+E to merge everything into a new layer. Convert it into a smart object and apply final color grading to the whole thumbnail. It's not very complicated, I just made the image slightly more pleasing and closer to the original look. Of course, if you are a beginner, it won't be easy to create this, but at least now you understand the general workflow and how it's done. If you don't want to spend time doing this yourself, feel free to message me on Instagram. You can see more of my work there, or contact me on Telegram and we can discuss everything.